I guess first off, congratulations on finishing the first leg of the tour.
Actually, the last leg of the tour.
The last leg
of the U.S. tour.
The US
Been
part.
touring U.S. for a year, and we took it from 2,000 to 2,500 people in theaters to ending the tour. We were doing 25,000 people a night.
Wow.
So it says something about rock and roll.
It does say something about rock and roll and about Motley Crue, definitely.
Yeah, well, that's good. So,
It's kind of interesting though that you guys took off on a tour before having completed a new album of
Right.
new material,
Right.
which is a little unconventional. Why did you guys go about doing it that way?
well, I mean, the thing is with Motley Crue, the name, the history of the band, what we're all about, it can stand on its own with new music or without. And there were so many bands out there, from the Goo Goo Dolls to Manson to Nine Inch Nails. The list goes on and on, that they grew up on the band, that they, we were one of their favorite bands, we influenced them. And we had sort of, we were in a position to get our masters back from our old record label, start our own record label, re-release those masters to the fans. And before we did that, we released a greatest hits album to sort of get all the new fans that grew up on those other, on Nine Inch Nails and all these bands, going, let me go get a greatest hits from this band. Then they really know what their people they're listening to now are talking about. And we re-released all of our old songs so that they were, able to get them through our own record label with bonus tracks on them. And we just went out and toured our ass off to let people know what we were about as a live band.
Now that's interesting though.
That is one of the most important things about rock and roll, is that it's not about tape machines and everything. It's about just sweaty, raw guitars and drums. And
that's the best way to get it.
Yeah, and that's what we did. We went out and we did it.
Well, now this is interesting about, you're talking about reissuing all the old music that you guys did when you first started out, which a lot of those songs are really considered classics in the rock world. Yeah. Does it ever get tiresome, or do you ever get bored playing the same songs that you've been playing for 15 years?
It's funny because the situation will arise when we're in rehearsal, and we'll start playing a song like Looks to Kill or Shout at the Devil, and we've been playing the song for 15, 16 years. And we know it so well, but we still have to rehearse it to get the rust off of it before we go out and play it for people. And it will seem a bit mundane, a bit boring, because it's just the same guys.
So what do you do though to spice it up a little bit?
Well, I mean, you go play it for people live, and then you see their reaction to this song, and that's why you do it. So it's not really about us in a rehearsal room playing the song we've played a million times. It's about what happens when you play it for the fans. Then it's like a brand new song.
Yeah, getting the rush off of the thrill that they're getting from hearing it live.
It's interesting because a brand new song you'll be excited about playing in rehearsal, and you'll play it for an audience and you won't get a reaction.
Like, what the hell is this?
Yeah, what's this? Why don't you play Shout at the Devil?
Right. But now, when you were on this last year touring, were you playing new music a lot?
We put a couple new songs on the greatest hits, and we played those. They were in the set for probably close to 6 months, and then we went out with the Maximum Rock tour with Motley Crue and the Scorpions. We each had 90 minutes, and when you've been around this long, to only play 90 minutes, an hour and a half, is really difficult. So we picked, people's favorite songs, and we let people on the internet choose, what songs they wanted to hear. So we actually played some obscure old songs as well.
So it really is like a show for the fans.
Yeah, and we've sort of been living a bit in our past in the last year, because we want to educate the people now on why we are a relevant rock and roll band. Right. Now we're ready to go make a new record, and we'll start living in the future.
Good, that's good. I'm sure everybody's going to be really happy to hear that.
Yeah, and we're real excited about it too.
How have you noticed a change in the fans, like with this last tour? What have you seen different? Are they the same people? Are there new people coming up?
Yeah, that's a good question. There's something really interesting is happening. Is when we started the tour in theaters, the die-hard Motley Crue fans would go buy those tickets immediately, and they would be the 28 to 38-year-old fans that were teens when we were, just barely not teens starting. As we started playing bigger and bigger places, we started noticing there were skaters and surfers, punk rockers, kids that were into hip hop, kids that were into, you know, Korn and Limp Bizkit, mixed with our original fans. And then there's even a new generation of fans, you know, younger kids, you know, 13 and 12-year-olds that are just discovering music, and they're discovering us. Like,
That's a good feeling.
it's really interesting, you know, and so there's a wide group of people.
Now, what about the record industry? How has that changed since you guys began, through your perspective?
Well, I mean, the record industry is changing so quickly. I don't believe that record companies will really exist in the next 10 years as they do today, as in distribution. The internet's going to play such a large part in the future of all business. But with music, the ability to get music downloaded to you instantaneously, print out on your super duper new printer the artwork, or have it, you know, mailed to you, either which way. You can buy the jewel cases in a bundle at your local Costco or whatever. And soon the concept of a record company, you know, owning their own distribution, owning their own pressing plants, all that stuff's going to sort of become not existent, and you're going to have people that are running the music business that are artists.
Right.
So it'll be artist to fan, in which is really fan to fan, because we're fans ourselves.
Now, were you aware of all this when you left Elektra and you decided to not go? I mean, I'm sure there were tons of labels clamoring to get you on, and yet you decided to go off and start Motley Records.
The last thing I would ever do is sign with a major label, because I believe that they're the death of the music industry. I think that working with new bands is the future, and so that's why we've started, you know, independent record labels within Motley Crue. We have Motley Records, which is distributed from BMG. The concept of the record company is changing, and we're part of that change. You know, we don't want to be old school.
Now, on your own label, Americoma, am I saying that right? You have like, how many bands have you signed?
Just
so
three
far?
bands
Three
so
bands,
far.
which is Laidlaw, right?
Laidlaw's a
Bastard.
southern hard rock band. Flash Bastard's a punk band, and an experimental band, which is another band that I'm in, is called 1958.
Oh, okay. How did you go about finding these bands? What drew them to you, or you drew you to them?
The thing that drew me to, especially Laidlaw and Flash Bastard, was the fact that nobody wanted them, because they didn't fit what the record industry wanted. Flash Bastard's not an alternative band. They're so much the real thing that I don't know if they'll ever make another record. I mean, they live it, they breathe it. They're a crash and burn rock and roll punk band, you know, a la early Motley Crue, early Aerosmith, early Guns N' Roses. And that doesn't fit in with Bush and Backstreet Boys and NSYNC and etc.
And in a way, you're looking at them and seeing the early days of you guys, when you guys first came out.
They believe it so much that I have to believe it with them. I believe in them. And the same thing with Laidlaw. They're a southern hard rock band, and southern hard rock is, I think, going to make a huge comeback in the next three years about. And they love their music so much. I actually went in and produced the record for them.
Oh, excellent.
And it's a phenomenal record. They're good musicians. I mean, that kind of music, it's really about the songs, and these guys write hit songs, but their musicianship is so superb that it was a pleasure to make the record.
Excellent, excellent. Well, earlier this year, you had to deal with Tommy taking off, leaving the band. Was that something that you saw coming?
Yes and no. I mean, I thought intellectually that he could have seen the bigger picture as far as being able to do a solo record, do a record company, be involved in the music industry and developing new artists. But for him, it seems to be the emotional decision to just do one project. And that is, you know, his solo record. So I have to say, you know, good luck. And I can't live my life, you know, looking like through a little tiny pipe. I mean, I want to see more. So for me, I think it was a good decision for him to leave then. You know, we got Randy Castillo, who's the drummer for Ozzy Osbourne, it seems that the fans are happy for Tommy and happy for us, so it all works out.
Was there animosity between you two when he left? I mean, obviously
No.
you didn't want him to go.
No,
but-
no. I tried to explain to him why I believed he should stay, but
Right.
my beliefs are not his beliefs.
Right,
And
of course.
no, there's no animosity at all. I mean, you can't be friends for 20 years and
Good
something
point.
as small
Very good
as
point.
I mean, rock and roll is not important when it comes to friendship. Friendship is most important. So
That's very true. Absolutely true. Do you foresee you guys getting back together in the future?
No.
No?
No.
I think that chapter closed.
I think that
moving on.
chapter's closed and we've moved on, and he wants to make a hybrid of music, a little more jungle, techno, rap with hard rock guitars, heavy metal guitars, whatever, and we want to make old school hard rock,
Right.
nasty, about girls and wrecking cars, and that's what
Exactly.
we do. So I think it's best that we're not together.
Right. Right. Now, was it difficult to adjust to the new drummer, to Castillo coming
It was
in?
seamless. It was
Really?
unbelievable. It was totally seamless. I mean, he's such a professional. He's been a fan of the band. He stepped in, and it was a week worth of rehearsals, and
That's it.
There we
You
went.
were set.
yeah, yeah.
How's the songwriting process changed for you over the years, or has it? I mean, is songwriting something that happens naturally for you? Like you're you're driving down the road and
Yeah.
you get an idea, or do you sit down?
Yeah,
It's time to write.
my biggest problem, when I met our second manager, a guy named Doug Thaler, and his partner Doc McGee, right before the band really blew up, right before Shout at the Devil, I was pompous and young and full of Jack Daniels, and I said, my biggest problem is I write too many great songs. And they said, oh, you are really full of yourself. And now I have to say, yeah, that was a bit cocky, but my biggest problem is I can't not write music. I don't know if I write that many great songs. You know, I've grown up enough to be able to look at writing 100 songs, and 10 of them make it to an album,
Right.
and 2 of them might make, you know, a difference in rock and roll. But I just write all the time. I can't not write. I'm in love with music.
Does having the kind of success that you've had in the past with the hits that Motley Crue's had, does that impose pressure on you when you're writing to try and match that?
No,
you just
no.
it's just natural. Just you know what's good.
When you write a song, you never know what that song is going to mean to your future. You just write a song. And you know, I wrote Kickstart My Heart in probably less than 5 minutes, and I wrote it on a napkin and stuck the napkin in my pocket, and I went to rehearsal, and I think somebody said, have you written any songs lately? And I said, oh yeah, I forgot about the song. Pull out this napkin, showed it to them, and everybody's like, yeah, that's cool. No one jumped up and down and said, this is going to be a landmark piece of music. And you just go on with your
It's
day.
just a part of your normal day. is
The
writing
song
music.
turned into something because of a lot of hard work from a lot of people, and the fans fell in love with it. But I never knew that song was going to become that song, you know. And other songs, I've put a month worth of rewriting the lyrics, rewriting the melody lines, and I can't even. They're nothing. They're garbage.
That's funny.
So it's just
you just never know.
You just never know.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Now I know you're very much into the Motley Crue website, and I've been to it and I've been checking out and reading the tour diary.
Oh, right.
A lot, which is very cool. I mean, the fans must love
Yeah.
being able to
I enjoy
get a
doing
little
that.
peek into what's going on the road. Now, there's something that you wrote that I want to ask you about. I forget the date, but let's see, the quote is, I always feel grateful. Every day and every night, I'm amazed at life. When you've seen the other side, you realize just what temporary means. When you've seen it flash before your eyes, the small stuff seems microscopic.
Yeah.
Do you remember when you realized that's what life was about?
That's what going through heroin addiction, you know, seeing your dream deteriorate, you know, in a spoon and a needle, and waking up in a hospital with IVs and police standing over you going, you know, you've overdosed again, Mr. Sixx, and, you know, finding out your heart stopped, finding out that, you know, it's been released to the press that you're dead. That's when you start to realize that something like somebody running a stoplight in front of you is not worth getting out of your car and freaking out over or having a bad day over. And just a lot of that stuff is so unimportant, and you can focus on the big picture, helping music, my family,
Right, your family.
you know, young bands are really important to me. That's the future. That's the future. Really, it's what it's all about.
It's a great thing to have realized that, I'm sure.
Yeah. So the other stuff's, a lot of the stuff's not that important, you know.
Very cool. Now, you know, it seems nowadays, or lately, actually, I guess the law seems to be following you around wherever you go.
Lenny Bruce of rock and roll. I was
no
telling the
kidding.
band. It's like anytime I talk, I get arrested.
I mean, are these arrests legitimate?
No.
They're just Trump pulling up these charges from 2 years ago? I know the North Carolina was from 2 years ago.
Right. Yeah.
Which is I mean, quite ridiculous, really.
It's the law, the police, they have a job to do. If there is a warrant for your arrest, their job is to get you, place you somewhere where you can't leave, and then the lawyers get to come in, and their job is to harass you until you give them some money, and they'll go away. So what's happening is, you know, people have figured out that if they harass me, they'll get money.
Right.
And
Right.
that's not going to happen with the case in South North Carolina, because, you know, my civil rights are being, you know,
Infringed upon.
The situation in Vegas was you had they were just jacked up about the band, and I was arrested because they assumed that I did something that I didn't do. They've since dropped the charges.
Right, I just recently read that, which is good.
Yeah,
So
that's
it's
really
one
good.
less thing to worry about, I'm
Yeah,
sure.
and there's been some other situations where we try to get blackmailed by people, and you know, that breaks my heart. But again, I have to go.
Blackmailed how?
Well, you know, you. Yeah. You don't want to
Okay,
talk?
all right.
Okay.
Fair enough, fair enough. What do you,
Yeah. That's cool.
What do you think is the happiest moment of your career?
You know, and I sort of look at my career as just, I'm not even halfway there. You know?
So it's too soon to tell what
It's
the
too soon
happiest
to
moment
tell. Yeah.
Is there a saddest moment so far?
No, life's been good.
Life's been good.
Life's been good. You know,
good.
you fall down, you brush yourself off, and you get up and you keep going, and that's life. You
Yeah,
know, and
absolutely.
in anybody's career, it's the same thing. And I've been very fortunate to play with some very talented people and work with talented people in the industry, whether they're producers or record company people or promotion people, radio people, and watching the music industry evolve the way it is right now. It's a real exciting time.
Yeah. When can we expect the new the live album and the new album?
Live album is November 23rd, and we're going to play in the Jay Leno show on Thanksgiving.
Oh, excellent.
So that's going to be fun.
Perfect.
Yeah.
I couldn't think of a better way to spend.
I think that'll be a
spend the
blast.
evening with the family.
Yeah, exactly.
Watching Motley Crue.
That's going to be good. And the next studio record, we're going to start towards the end of the year rehearsing, and we'll probably start recording in January, maybe February.
You have material already.
We have a lot of
Lot of
material, but it's very important that this is the perfect album
Yeah.
for us.
Yeah.